Welcome, my name is Colleen Tauke and I'm a sewing specialist here at Fons & Porter. In this Quilting Quickly tutorial, I'm going to show you how to put together the blocks that go into the quilt called Strawberry Patch. If you'd like to purchase that pattern, please visit our website. We're going to be using 2.5-inch strips, and the name and the inspiration from this quilt came from the fabric, so you can see there's a strawberry pattern. It's very springy, summery looking, and we've got a white on white dot background fabric. So we are going to be cutting squares from the background fabric. Follow your instructions for the size and the quantity of the large squares you're going to cut from the white. We're going to be cutting, though, then from these strips, the pre-cuts, 2 different size. We're going to be doing squares and rectangles. And right away you can see in the block that I have here that you can see that there's the square, the rectangle, and there's the square in the center. But where is that white square? The large one? Well, it's blown apart and it's in the background now of this block. So let's see how we put that together. What we are doing is cutting those large squares like this. And I've got one marked so that you can tell where I'm going to be cutting in advance here. We're going to cut diagonally, corner to corner, in both directions. Now, as you work through these, you want to probably maybe even as a tip, spray starch your fabric before you cut your squares out, and that will help stabilize because you're going to have bias edges in both directions here, and to reduce that little bit of stretch, the spray starch will hold those fibers long enough for you to work on the block and not have distortion occur. And I have pressed mine ahead of time, so now we've got that kind of dissected. So we've got 4 pieces. Now the fun part begins. We're going to pull that apart, and you can easily see now where the rectangles are going to go into this. The fun part is you can coordinate 2 different fabrics. Take a set of rectangles and pick a square that makes a fun statement in the very center. Now it's a diagonal setting kind of within the block. So what you're going to do is you're going to create a row from this portion, simple row here by joining those together, and then a row here. And I'll walk you through this one because it's a little bit different. So this is bias edges, remember. We're going to lay that right sides together against the rectangle. We're going to do a 1/4 inch seam here. And it slid to one side, and yes, this end is longer. That's okay. The reason why it's set up long is that we're going to be trimming our block at the very end, and we can get rid of the extra pieces there, but we can get a perfect square when we're finished. So I'll show you quickly how those are attached. Take that to the iron, heat set, open out, and I pressed my seam allowances toward the red. I'm just going to do it very gently with my fingers so I can put the second side on. Again, sometimes it's best to put it back into position so you can tell your alignment so you know where you're sewing, because you don't want to put on this side because that's not going to create that triangle that you need. So back into in the right space, right sides together, take it to the sewing machine. Might be a fun project to work with a young person, somebody new, just learning to quilt. You can work together and show them some fun techniques, or even for yourself, maybe a quilt retreat project. Something like this would be great. Oops, press your foot up, and as we open out, again, you would set that seam, and I can show you real quick. We'll do a real quick heat set. And then open again. If you don't want what they call shadow lines, if I were to leave that red underneath the white, I would kind of get a shadow line of where the seam allowance is. So I want to press mine towards the red here. Gently do that. Try not to distort it. Give it a nice press. And I have 1/3 of the block ready to go. I easily join those together, then repeat that same process you did for the first side for the second, and then join the rows together. So I've got mine finished. Now, remember, those were extended edges that we had out here. And what we did was take a large square ruler, and I went in and I cut an 8.5 inch square, perfect, by trimming away. I'll lay that underneath there so you can see where I actually had to trim things off. It's a quick trim at the very end to get your 8.5 block. Your block is almost that size, pretty much. You're just taking off these, kind of like large dog ears. We've got it engineered so that you've got just enough fabric to get your 8.5 inch block out. By trimming those, you're ready to go. Make 30 of those blocks. You've got the center of your quilt all constructed. We've got an inner border, some cornerstones, and an outer border. Follow those diagrams in your pattern and you will have Strawberry Patch ready to go for your next picnic. If you'd like to see more of our Quilting Quickly tutorials, please visit our website. Thanks for joining me today.